Joining me, CJ Everything's Amazing Gibson and Destin Everything Sucks Legary.
Hi everybody.
We're here to talk about Destiny 2 Forsaken, the expansion. Fair warning, we're recording this before the game is actually launched.
Yeah.
Destin, you're on the review.
Yeah.
You've played a bit of it, but CJ, you just came back from a preview event.
Yes.
We want to talk about the open world, we want to talk about the strike you played, and we also want to talk about Gambit. So tell us about the Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City, your initial impressions.
So overall, they have a really unique game space. I think that was one of the things when, remember with the Dreadnought and Taken King,
Yep.
It seemed like a really vast, expansive world. The Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City have that feeling. There are moments where when you're going through there, you're not sure what's happening. There's secrets, there's puzzles, there's things where as you approach it, one time I was looking at something and it just randomly disappeared. Cool moments like that. Those are the things that was missing in Destiny 1. They've heard the community. They've put a lot of those things into Forsaken. And honestly, a preview event of only, a couple hours does not give you a good perspective of what's coming because a lot of stuff is going to be time gated. And they even said that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be revealed over the next coming months. But from initial impressions, yeah, the environment, the world, the sense of scope and scale, really, really big.
Destin, do these zones strike you as more interesting or substantially different than what we had in Destiny 2 Vanilla?
I'm intrigued, but because we're recording this early, I actually haven't had a chance to experience them. We do know that this is where the endgame activities are going to take place and that they're going to be constantly morphing. So those aspects lend a lot of possibilities, and I can't wait to explore them.
Well, let's go over what we've had in terms of kind of the open world, as it were, endgame activities in Destiny 2. What are they doing, CJ, in terms of incentivization to get us back into this open world and exploring this cool dynamic space?
Yeah, so without giving too much away, I think there's a new economy standpoint. Some of that comes in the form of collections because they're giving you incentive to go out there either for having something public that appears over top of your head like an icon or some kind of badge of honor saying, hey, you've done this or completed this event X amount of times. There's also weekly and daily bounties. So there's a bunch of different things that are incentivizing players to go out and do the content, which was really lacking. We wanted that from Destiny 2 at launch.
Mm-hmm. The collection system is something that should have been in Destiny since the beginning. So
Hear, hear.
I'm really glad that they're finally adding it with Forsaken. Now, they did add random rolls also, so as the release nears, this is before September 4th again, so I'm worried right now that the random rolls that we're going to get are going to end up filling up your vault. Like even currently going into Forsaken's release, I still have about 300 slots filled because now that I've been able to manage my main inventory, it all went there. This was an important step toward some sort of inventory management system that Bungie has desperately needed since Destiny 1.
Let me tell you a tale from Diablo.
Oh, there it is.
So in Diablo 3, there's a little bit, I wouldn't call it an issue because the loot is so incredibly forgiving. It drops so frequently, but there's this system called an ancient, like a savage ancient weapon, and these are essentially masterworks. These are objectively better versions of weapons. So when you add that on top of random rolls, CJ, are you concerned that it's just going to feel really bad if you get a perfect roll on a non-masterwork thing and then kind of a crappy roll on a masterwork thing? Do you feel like there's going to be the ability to masterwork another weapon is going to alleviate that? Is that going to be an option?
I had this situation within year 1 of Destiny where I didn't get the weapon Hawkmoon until the very end of Destiny 1.
And the meta had changed.
And the meta had changed. And so had they have eliminated and been constantly tweaking the meta every couple weeks or months, like the way some games do, I think that your ability maybe to grasp what the perfect weapon was, if you don't play the game enough, you'd not have that opportunity, right? Gjallarhorn was the same way.
It's kind of like they're just like, hey, we recognize that we made mistakes, like they said in their buy doc.
Yep.
We needed to wipe the slate clean, and we're starting fresh.
But why is this happening again?
Yeah.
And moreover, will this be happening a third time with the inevitable Destiny 3? Are we going to launch, do you think, in a state that is going to try to please everybody and cut these core features, and then the post-launch support will just be adding these things that we've already had back? Or do you think that this is finally Bungie learning its lesson, moving forward with this?
Looking back, I think obviously they've admitted that it was a mistake, but in order to potentially appeal to a broader audience, I understand the decision-making process, but I think they realize now that this is the right way to go.
I have to wonder if the community who's been and felt burned by Bungie in the past for like the Osiris content, which let down a lot of people, I have to wonder if they're going to be willing to dive in with Forsaken. Pre-release, it seems like a lot of people are really excited about it, but there are many people who have been burned, and hopefully they can rebuild that trust again by making right steps in the right direction. And also thank you for using the word moreover again in the
Moreover. Well, moreover, let me ask you this. The way that I feel about it is not necessarily that I've been burned so many times XYZ. The thing that bums me out though is having missed some of the collectibles from when the game was in a suboptimal state. I'll get over it, whatever, but when I was thinking about jumping into Destin 2, it felt like a fresh start. It felt like, okay, I'll be able to have every collectible because this game's going to be in a great spot. I'll be able to really dig my teeth into it, but that's just not the case. Maybe with Destiny 3, but I'll certainly play this for the fun of it. But let's move on. Let's talk about our final subject, which is Gambit, something that we all have played.
Yeah.
Think is great. Bungie got the box quote out there. Gambit is superb. IGN. That wasn't you. That was me. Maybe it was both of us.
That was a compliment.
So, Destin, what have your impressions been of Gambit? You've played it many times at this point. What do you think?
Gambit's great, and especially when you have time to remap your control keys on a keyboard and mouse and sensitivity. But I really, really like Gambit. Gambit is a very, very fun gameplay mode, and props to Bungie for continuing to try and innovate in the first-person shooter space.
Yep.
It's just great when we get something new to experience, and it's not just a battle royale mode. Like everybody seems to be jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, that's not what we're doing. We're doing this other thing.
This is almost closer to a MOBA in some sense.
In a way, it's a great hybrid mode. I was talking with Teddy that we play with and Steven. I've played a few times with them. There's something that caters to every type of player. Like if you're a PvP guy, you want to invade. If you're a PvE guy, you want to take out the monsters and like bank moats and stuff like that. So that's one of those things that I think people will really enjoy about Gambit overall.
The other thing I love about that is, and Deej was saying this, like you always have your PvP player go through the portal, and I'm like, sure, but if you want to play competitively, everybody has to be ready to do everything, because a lot of it is dependent upon variables like who has their super up, who has heavy, and in that sense, I think it's a really fun, dynamic space, and echoing what you said, this is what I want to see more of. I want to see less of, hey, Team Slayer, conventional stuff. I want to see more of Destiny utilizing what it does best, which is that balance between PvE and PvP and all the interesting things that can happen in that very dynamic space.
That's what Bungie usually does best. Like they try something new, they push the industry forward, and they do something that nobody else is doing in that time. And it's nice to see, even with just Gambit, you can see how they're doing that.
Yeah,
great.
And they're still in that unique space. I mean, that's what we've been talking about. Is that a lot of people go, "Oh, do you love Destiny?" It's like, yeah, I do. Like I would not play the game if I didn't like it. And definitely, there's a lot of stuff that I know that they want to do in the future. So I'm super excited for Forsaken. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great expansion.